Yo, boxing aficionados. What's up? What's going on? Hey, yo, check this out. Another episode of Toprank Tuesdays. This time we're going to talk about the fight coming up this weekend, the rematch coming up this weekend between Oshaki Foster and Robson CONCEICAO. That's a fight that, brought a lot of controversy because a lot of people think that Oshaki Foster should have gotten that decision. However, my take on that is a little bit more nuanced, a little more different. But we're going to talk about that after we talk about the fight card, which has some interesting fights. As the co-main, we have Ray Murataya versus Jesus Antonio Campos, who's 23-5, 18 KOs, and never been knocked out. Interestingly enough, Jesus Campos, we got to talk a little bit about Jesus Campos, or rather Ray Murataya, because Ray Murataya is coming off of two not great performances. You see, when you're Ray Murataya, you need to really show out in order to get attention, because you're an above average fighter, very dangerous fighter, very skilled, a lot of power, but you're don't have a fan base. You have no social media presence. You're not charismatic, not much of a personality. So when you're Ray Murataya, you have to overcome all these obstacles to get big fights, to get the Shakurs in the ring with you, to get the Gervonta Davises in the ring with you, to get, all those fighters in and around your weight division of lightweight. You're going to have to really step up and shine. And if you don't have a personality, and if you don't have a built-in fan base, then what you got to do is create one with your performances, like Teofimo Lopez once did. He got, the highlight reel knockouts, which got him the Lomachenko fight. But that's neither here nor there. Ray Murataya has not lived up in the last two fights, his last two fights against Endogeni and much more against Farmer, right? Hasn't lived up to that lofty expectation, and it's too bad for him. I'm going to get back to that. Under that, there's a kid named Yan Santana on the card, who's a Dominican kid who, in my opinion, is one to watch. He's 12-0, 11 KOs. 12-0, 11 KOs. But what's more impressive about him is that I think Top Rank just got their hands on him, because I've only seen him once before, and I actually do watch Top Rank undercards, and they threw him right in the fire. He's part of the new Dominican wave of fighters that Top Rank's been signing. There's him, Yan Santana, this other, what's his name? That came back to Top Rank after leaving Elvis Rodriguez, or rather after being let go. And then there's Rohan Polanco. also another Dominican. So Toprank's been trying to make some more inroads, and I guess they got connected to the Dominican pipeline. But out of all the Dominicans I've watched, you know, I think this kid Jan Santana is the best. Jan Santana is the best Dominican I've probably ever seen. Right? He's probably the best Dominican fight I've ever seen. You see, because Jan Santana has quick twitch muscles. He has slickness. He has quickness. And he has a whole hell of a lot of power. And he's a vicious human being. And so what I found most impressive about him, that I knew, something's amiss, because this guy is 11-0 and making his debut with Top Rank. At least I think it was his debut with Top Rank. And they put him in a 10-rounder. They put him in a 10-rounders, not an 8-rounder like Rohan Polanco was. He's in the 126 division, so he's a featherweight. So they're putting him on the fast track, this Jan Santana kid. And he was involved in a hell of a fight. His fight against, what was his name? Brandon Valdez. Brandon Valdez was the guy that he fought. And Brandon Valdez had fought, he's a gatekeeper type, but he's a tough guy. And Brandon Valdez had, he would think he was 15-5, tough kid. I'm not sure if he was Colombian or something. I think he was Colombian, one of those tough Colombian guys. But he came to fight. And he was very well experienced. He had already faced in his resume, not as wins, but he had already faced Angelo Leo and Robesi Ramirez. So Brandon Valdez, who had previously faced Angelo Leo and Robesi Ramirez, and if you remember, Robesi Ramirez was really fast-tracked, right, because he was a big signing for them. He was expected to do a lot of big things coming right off the bat. It was kind of like Lomachenko-esque. So this Brandon Valdez fought Angelo Leo and Robesi Ramirez, both of which had become champions. One is currently a champion, and the other one just got dethroned. And he's gonna have a rematch coming up himself, a big fight on December card. So here is Brandon Valdez. You throw him in, you throw in Jan Santana against Brandon Valdez. And now I'm asking myself, they must believe in Jan Santana. A 10-rounder against this guy, against a guy with that kind of experience. And it was a hell of a fight. Anybody wants to do themselves a favor, tune into that fight. Jan Santana versus Brandon Valdez. Look it up on YouTube. It went the distance. Jan Santana put a beating on Valdez, but Valdez pushed him to the limit. And not that he beat him up, not that Jan Santana got exposed, but you could tell that Jan Santana, upon signing with Top Rank, and Top Rank just wants to know what you got. They threw him in there tough in a 10-round. I don't know if he previously fought a 10-round. He was only 11-0, so I'm thinking that it wasn't. And it's almost like a make-or-break performance for him, I believe. I could tell the vibe was like a make-or-break for, oh, yeah, we got you, we signed you. Let's see if you're really worth, let's see if you really are who your managers or the people that brought you to us say you are. And they matched him up tough. It was a hell of a fight. So now he's back on the card again. He was impressive. And they're matching him up against a guy named Ed Bias, 23-6, 9 KOs. So he doesn't have much power. But I don't think he himself has ever been knocked out. So that's Jan Santana. I believe he's going to be like right in the middle of the card, which is at the Turning Stone Casino in New York. And so when you look at how they're matching him, I believe this kid, within 2 years, if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to end up fighting either Angelo Lee or whoever is at 126. He's going to be a problem for him. The kid has quick twitch punches. There's a slickness about him, power and a viciousness. He's got Dominican moxie, but he's about his business. He ain't stupid. He's not as stupid as a dumb kid. I could tell a lot from his demeanor and how he handled adversity in the ring. And that's Brandon Valdez gave him some adversity that he came back from and showed out and still showed. You got to really see that fight in order to understand what I'm talking about. So that will bring me back to Ray Murataya. Ray Murataya shit the bed against Tevin Farmer. It was his time to shine. Some of you may not remember, but I think there was, I forgot who was supposed to be the headliner on that card. Murataya versus Farmer was supposed to be on the undercard. I forget who was supposed to headline that card, but then Murataya ended up against Tevin Farmer ended up being the main event because the allocated main event didn't go through for whatever reason. I forget what it was, but he ended up being in the main event. It was time for you to put it to, he was calling at that time. There was, not that it was a hot topic, but he was being mentioned to fight Shakur. So they were bringing that bell of Shakur against Murataya, Shakur against Murataya. He was calling them out, whatever. It wasn't that much of a buzz, but internally on ESPN and the broadcast team, they were talking about it. Tim Bradley and the gang were talking about that, talking up that fight as being a possibility. And that's why they put him in against Tevin Farmer, because Tevin Farmer, not that he's as good as Shakur Stevenson, but he's that type of defensive first fighter who can make anybody look bad. And he's been a champion himself. And it was sort of a step-up fight of sorts for Ray Murataya because Tevin Farmer, although he was stepping up to 135, also brought a lot of experience, a lot of slickness. It was a tough fight, but a winnable one. One that he wasn't going to lose, but one that he was supposed to shine on. He was supposed to stop Tevin Farmer. Had he stopped Tevin Farmer, then the clangs for him versus Shakur would have been a little bit louder. Maybe him being Mexican, being in the Robert Garcia gym, beating a black fighter, a slick black fighter like Tevin Farmer, ex-champion. Now you start being mentioned and, calling out some of the bigger names, maybe other black fighters or whatever like that. That's how it works when you want to build a storyline. But he didn't. He struggled against Tevin Farmer and he looked tentative, which was worse. He looked tentative. He looked like he couldn't let his hands go. He was thinking too much, man. It was a fight. When he finally let his hands go at the end, he started hurting Tevin Farmer, but he was supposed to do that by at least the fourth or fifth round. So it was very disappointing, man. He got up in his head. And if you're the type of fighter that can be controlled by a slick fighter, a defensive-minded fighter, because sometimes when you fight a slick-minded fighter, a defensive-first fighter, what you have to do, who can't hurt you, what you have to do is pressure them. You have to become, what they call that, the brawler. You have to become the brawler. You have to make the fight and push him, bring him, and bang him in the corner. And he's not going to hit you with anything that's going to hurt or knock you out, probably. So you're supposed to go all out. And he did not. And it was very disappointing, man. Very disappointing. So now he's in there against this Jesus Antonio Campos, who's 23-5, has let's see, he has 18 KOs himself, and he's never been knocked out. So they're putting him in there to get his get back. They're putting him in against a come first fighter, it looks like, and so you could get shit off, so you can look good again, so you can get a knockout, because you haven't had a knockout in 2 or 3 fights now. Now you got to get your shine on. You're going to have to look spectacular against a guy who's going to come to fight that you're probably more skilled at, quicker than, more talented than, and you got to look great in that. That's what they tried to do with Teofimo Lopez after he fought Jermaine Ortiz. Jermaine Ortiz made him look bad with the slick, blah, 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 blah. So they bring him back against Steve Claggett from Canada, a brawler type, and he was supposed to set up Steve Claggett with something and just knock him out and look spectacular. They tried to make Tio look spectacular again. He shit the bed there. But that's neither here nor there. This is about Raymond Murataya. And Raymond Murataya needs to shine in this fight. Now we get to the main event. The main event, O'Shaquie Foster versus Robson CONCEICAO. It was a boring fight, the first one. This is not exactly a fight that people are clamoring for, because the first one was just boring. The only thing that created any kind of buzz or excitement, if that's can be used to describe any aspect of that fight, the only thing that created any excitement or interest in that fight was that O'Shaquie Foster supposedly got robbed. Because there's nothing more that fight fans love than a good robbery to bitch and moan about. I saw the fight. I was bored to death. I remember. Wasn't that on the undercard of? Wasn't that on the undercard of of Shakur Stevenson's boring fight? I believe it was. Oh, what a nightmare! Was it on the same undercard? I believe it was. It was Robson CONCEICAO against O'Shaquie Foster, a horrible fight, where O'Shaquie Foster, I guess because he was on Shakur's undercard, wanted to show that he's a slick fighter, he's black, and he couldn't just outbox him and whatever. Robson CONCEICAO, who can box himself, by the way, decided to just let his hands go, and come forward and pressure him. And the judges gave him the nod. O'Shaquie Foster didn't throw enough punches. Did he not get hit or whatever? Didn't get hurt? Fine, good for you. But you didn't hurt CONCEICAO. You didn't come forward. You didn't make CONCEICAO look bad either. CONCEICAO was coming forward, making the fight, pressure, man on a mission, and the judges gave him the fight. Point blank, period, end the story. There was no controversy. There was no robbery. I don't even understand. Like I said, well, I do actually understand, because, again, that's what fight fans thrive on. Is the controversy of a good robbery. And this guy, everything's controversy. Nobody just wants to use their 2 cents, the common sense. Come on, please. What's that? Can you not see why a judge might give it to CONCEICAO? Around to CONCEICAO, around that he's clearly just coming forward, and this guy threw, what, 3, 4, 5 punches in the whole entire round, and just because he looked good doing so, you're going to give him the damn round? No, it doesn't work like that, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, man, I look forward to seeing the card because, I just like Toprank's product. So, because the reason why I want to see that fight is because somebody's going to win, right? Somebody's going to win. Whether it's CONCEICAO or Foster, ain't going to matter. Neither of them are elite, to tell you the truth. I don't see them as elite, But the winner will be fighting the winner of my man Emmanuel Navarrete versus Valdez. That's what that's coming to. Emmanuel Navarrete versus Valdez Part 2, which is a fight that's not necessary. I think it's just a tune-up fight for Navarrete, to tell you the truth. He beat Valdez's ass the first fight. I don't understand how this is supposed to be a classic. Are you kidding? Versus Mexican. And it's like Morales, but no, it wasn't. It was a beatdown. Shut up. Anyway, so the winner of CONCEICAO versus CONCEICAO versus O'Shaquie Foster will be, in all likelihood, facing Navarrete, because Navarrete is going to beat Oscar Valdez. This is a tuna. Anyway, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. This is Next Level Boxing Talk for boxing aficionados. My name is Alexis Rumbero, a.k.a. The Filthy Casual. If you like the video, share it, like it, give it a thumbs up. If not, it was a great conversation. Peace. I'm out.